the curtain is down before Jenna sings, you hear sugar. And I really feel like I had two choices in that moment. And the first choice is to, just panic and run off stage. Totally panic. And the second option is to just roll with it and to think, you've already shown up.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Cortman-Westphal, a Broadway music director, conductor, voice coach, and tenured professor in the musical theater department at the University of Michigan.
And I'm Chelsea Wilson, a performer turned voice teacher to Broadway stars and vocal coach on Broadway productions like The Phantom of the Opera, School of Rock, and more.
Here on the Broadway Vocal Coach podcast, you can expect real talk about the business, practical advice, and constant encouragement.
We believe there's space for every artist in this industry. All you need is the right support, so consider us your two-woman hype team. Welcome to the Broadway Vocal Coach podcast, where we help musical theater performers get unstuck and take the next step in their careers. Cynthia, I am so excited because today marks our very first interview as part of this larger interview series, What It's Like to Be on Broadway. And we have had the fantastic Desi Oakley sit down with us recently, and I'm so excited for people to listen to this interview.
I'm so excited to talk with Desi. Let me tell you a little bit about her, or a lot about her. Here we go. Desi Oakley is a Broadway, television, and voice actress, singer-songwriter, and composer-lyricist based in New York City. Desi is most well known for her star turn as Jenna in Waitress. She led both the first national tour and the West End productions, and her fresh take on the role of Roxy in the Broadway production of Chicago. Desi was born and raised in Wichita, Kansas, and was exposed to professional musical theater at Music Theater Wichita and began performing at the young age of only 8 years old and becoming a professional at 14 years old. Her learning continued at the University of Michigan, where she earned a BFA in musical theater. And shortly after her graduation, she made her Broadway debut in Wicked. From there, Desi also was in the original Broadway cast revival of Annie, the Broadway revival of Les Mis, and the first national tour of Evita as the Eva Perón alternate. Alongside the stage performances, Desi also voices national commercials and can be seen on television shows like Gotham and HBO's The Gilded Age. She has created and composed an original musical called The Light Effect that brings awareness and hope to those struggling with mental health.
This conversation with Desi was so fantastic. I have been wanting to ask her for years about how she ended up playing Jenna on the West End. And in this interview, she gives us the play-by-play of how she ended up going from teaching a masterclass in Buffalo to showing up in London at the Waitress Theater literally the next day and going on for the show. It is a thrilling story, and I also think we have so much to learn from Desi about her self-care, the self-talk that she uses to lift herself and others up.
And the authentic way that she shows up online. I think she does such a lovely job of being who she is on social media, unapologetically and so generously.
Let's get into the episode. Yeah?
Let's do it.
Hi, Desi. Welcome.
Welcome, Desi.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it is such a pleasure to have you with us. It has been a while since we've caught up, and I am so excited to be talking to you today. But how do we all know each other? Let's maybe start with that. When did we all first meet, Desi?
Hail to the victors.
Yes.
Hail. Is that what you mean?
Yes, back in the day.
So I absolutely, Cynthia, you're my professor and always will be of life and also skill. And I was a sophomore when you came into school, Chelsea. Mm-hmm. So I'm 1 year ahead of you at Michigan.
Yeah, exactly. We go a ways back. And so it's been so exciting as a classmate and someone who has watched your career since that time and see all the incredible things that you've done. And Cynthia, I feel like you just have this proud mentor feeling to just hundreds and hundreds of students that have come through your program. And
you know what it is?
What
I love more than anything is the peer feeling. I love when it transitions into like, we're peers now. I mean, I reach out to Desi sometimes like, hey, who can you recommend for such and such? Or Desi will get in touch with me. Hey, who can you recommend for such and such? And I love that we're just all in the business now. We're all just peers, which I think is so cool.
Yeah,
it is so cool. But I absolutely I bet, as you were saying, Chelsea, I feel like everybody feels maybe the way that I do about Cynthia. You make everyone feel so rooted for and so supported. And we're all out here in the city feeling that way and carrying what you taught us at school. Every single one of us. It's so true.
That's really kind and overly generous, but thank you. I just think the world of all
accurate.
of you, of everybody. I love you all so much.
What a mutual love. Well, Desi, we're so thrilled to have you on here. We've got so much to talk about, so much to catch up about. You describe yourself on your website, which, by the way, I was just on recently, and it's a gorgeous website. I'm like, incredible. So lovely. We just had an episode 16 about your online presence and what you need on an actor website. Everyone go check out DesiOakley.com. It's a great one. Anyways, on your website, Tangent, you describe yourself as a Jane of all trades. And I think that is 100% accurate. You have performed on some of the world's biggest stages. You write, you compose, you teach, you're a recording artist. How did you get started doing all of these things?
Thank you for saying that. And also thank you for the compliment about the website. I too was thinking about my web presence and this industry, if we're speaking particularly about the Broadway industry, you know, it feels sometimes ancient when it comes to like, oh my gosh, there were incredible Broadway performers when there was no such thing as the internet. So like the career existed so long before there was any of this stuff. Mm-hmm. And so it feels kind of like a choice to be like, okay, I'm gonna really work on this and really make sure that this is up there. I think that's a great conversation to have. Is it necessary? Do you have to have this pristine web presence? I know so many folks not on social media with Tony Awards. So what's the right answer? I don't know, but I just wanted something that really felt like me. And so just thank you for that compliment, because I had a lot of fun making it. Oh, also shout out to my website designer, Vibe Tribe Creative. Big shout out. Okay, how did I get into all of the things that I do? So I feel like a big thing to credit, besides the fact that I've always wanted to be a performer, and that particularly Broadway and the stage was always calling my name, was the 14 years of classical piano that I studied. And I really, really feel that is a huge factor in almost all of these facets of work that I found myself in, because that discipline it taught me musicality on a high level. It taught me, you can love it some days and totally not want to practice other days. And just this, it really taught me the value of hard work when, in 7th grade, all my cheerleading friends were like, we're going out for a pizza. And I'm like, I have to go practice the piano. Like, I'm not, this sucks. So like, I feel like it really did teach me, the payoff. And my grandmother, who taught me the piano, Eleanor Oakley, paid for all of the grandkids for 1 year of piano lessons. Every grandkid. Wow. And I'm the only grandkid to have continued past the 1 year.
How did she feel about you continuing on so long? Did she just love that?
So proud, immensely proud. And then that kind of leading into my work at Music Theater of Wichita. I grew up in Wichita, Kansas, and this incredible regional theater was basically in my backyard. And she's also responsible for that. She said, you could be open to this beautiful world of live theater. And even if you don't want to be in the shows, we can support the shows. And she's fully responsible for the entire reason I'm literally sitting in New York City and even literally talking to you right now. There's something that I am able to use every day and connect with people on incredible levels through the power of music. And so my knowledge of the piano is really what I credit for, I would say, the branch of my career that falls under learning new music, doing workshops, readings, being someone who records demos, a recording artist, my writing, my composing, my learning audition material quickly, accompanying people, teaching. So I speak about it a lot, and I tell folks like it's never too late. A lot of, parents of young kids are like, what should I do for my kid if they're interested? I'm like, put him in the piano.
I say the same thing.
Never let him quit. I'm such a dreamer. I sit around all day just thinking about scenarios. And I try really hard to think about what I desire and to think about a skill I could have. And then also think about a way or a person that could help me or support I could get. And I try to try. So if I have a dream and I think it could be possible, I try to try. And I'm also trying to take a page from a book, of when folks ask me for help or support, I try to give it freely. And so I'm going to ask. And the absolute worst case scenario is I've got this dream. I know somebody who can support me to get it. And gosh, they say, wishing you the best. Can't help this time, but really rooting for you. I'm like, great. They're rooting for me.
Yeah.
This is great. That's sort of the long-winded answer to how did I get to do all of these things. I give a lot of credit to a lot of the support that I've had and a lot of the training that I've had in my life.
So Desi, you have played some incredible stages. You have done some incredible things in your work as an actor and a performer, and you have the unique perspective of someone who has performed on Broadway, led a national tour, and performed on the West End. And I am just chomping at the bit to hear how in the world you ended up playing Jenna in Waitress on the West End. And I remember following along in real time as this was going on. I was like following your Instagram stories. This is probably 4-5 years ago now. I'll let you tell the story. But I remember following along and being like, Desi's on a plane to London. And then 24 hours, I was like, Desi's making her West End debut tonight. And then it was like, Desi's been there for 2 weeks. What is going on? It was the most thrilling thing to watch as an observer. I have to tell you, Desi, I was just like on pins and needles. Oh, so I'm desperate to hear you tell this story from your perspective. Give us a little context. Like, where are you in your life? How does this come to be?
I am cackling because the way you just described it was like it. And I'm so thrilled. Obviously, I'll tell you more details, but like you nailed it. And that is precisely what happened. So my experience with Waitress, I originated the first national tour. And, at the time it was Jesse, Betsy, Sarah, and me. And I was insanely honored to be one of these women trusted with this beautiful role and this beautiful show. And I toured for about a year with the show and then left naturally and then kind of had an opportunity, thank goodness, this is the thank goodness part, of coming back to the national tour about 6 to 8 months later, filling in for Christine Dwyer, whom I love, who had replaced me and was getting married. And so she wanted to have her wedding and have a nice time away and a beautiful honeymoon. And they were like, Desi, do you want to come back and fill in for Christine's time away? I said, oh my gosh, I would be honored. And thank goodness, because had I not done that stint, it would have been over a year of playing the role before getting shot out of a cannon with 9 hours notice to fly across the pond to go to the West End to make my debut there in the role. So it is January of 2020. Most of the time we think 2020 and we think the pandemic, we think COVID, we think lockdown, but really there were those, 10, 12 weeks before. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so for me, those weeks were like crazy and wild and amazing and life-changing. And, the sickness that they were dealing with, this was a perfect storm. And I say perfect truly in quotes because I have understudied, I've stood by, and I've played leads, and calling out of a show or being unable to do my role in a show is devastating. And so when I say perfect, I mean, this was a really exciting experience for me, but I really have to say with huge respect to the actors who could have, gone on for this time that were dealing with the things that they were dealing with. It's tough. So thinking of the time, the sickness in hindsight could have been COVID. We're not really sure, but January is cold and flu season either way. And Lucy Jones, the legend that is Lucy Jones, I love her so much. I respect her so much. This is a West End actor who is, she's such a star. Oh my gosh. Unfortunately, she was having some vocal issues and bless her. I mean, now she literally is playing Elphaba in Wicked and then Fantine and Les Mis in West End. Follow her. She is nailing it. I woke up at this particular day. I woke up at 3:30 in the morning because I was going out to a quick flight over to Buffalo to teach a masterclass. And while I'm there, I get a call from a number that I didn't recognize. And I'm teaching. And I listened to the voicemail on a break. And the voicemail sounds like this. So it's 1.5 minutes of the phone was cutting out. And I literally thought to myself, I don't have any idea what that is. I don't need to call them back. So I'm very, very, very glad that I texted the number. I just decided to text the number quickly. And I was like, hey, I'm so sorry. I think I just got a voicemail from this number and it was broken up. I didn't hear. And they were like, hi, please call your manager. We have an urgent situation that we need you. I'm like, oh, all right. So I just sort of told the team, hey, I just need like 5 extra minutes. I'm just going to make a quick phone call. And so that was on Saturday. And I made my West End debut on Monday. And so what I did is from Buffalo, they had to get me to JFK to get on a flight. It was absolute mayhem. And I had whatever I was wearing, the coat I was wearing, and clothes like that were packed for me in 2 seconds. And I literally got on an airplane thinking that I was going for coverage. So this is the important part of the story, is that they said, hey, we want to have you out there just in case. And I said, oh, this is great. This is fantastic. And I'm absolutely happy to be out there and thank you. And yes, throw me on a plane and let's go. And I remember being on the plane and like, oh, I have to remember this role. So I got my script. I was able to look at my script and I started to panic on the plane. I'm like, wait, none of this makes any sense to me. Wait, I'm like, did I say that word? Like that line? Wait. And that's because it was a bit of a mistake to look at the words. At that point, it had been years since I had looked at a script. Even going back into the show to fill in for those couple weeks, I wasn't reading a script, So I decided to put the script away and I ordered a glass of wine and I slept. And I woke up in London and that day I landed on their day off. On that Saturday, they did 2 concert versions of the show without a Jenna. And so they had Sunday off, I believe. So I had landed and then I could sleep. And on Monday, so I wake up on Monday and I woke up at like 3 a.m. the night before. So I'm basically like not quite alive. And so I woke up in this hotel, this darling hotel that I came to just absolutely love. And then they said, we're going to have a rehearsal. The company manager is going to come and meet you and show you how to take the subway, the tube, to the theater. And at this point, they're going to run me through the show for a couple of hours in the lobby. They're going to just take me through the show so I remember it. And we were in the lobby and we were passing fake pies. And I go, oh, you hand it there? Oh, I don't hand it. I don't remember that. Whatever. I'll take it or not. I don't know. And then I'm like, she hands me the apron like that. Okay, that's fine. I'll try that. Just hand me the apron. I'll get it on. At this point, it's like sort of whatever. And we broke after those a couple of hours and they were like, do you need anything? And they showed me to the Jenna dressing room. And the stage manager came in. And I said, hey, I have a question for you. Am I going on tonight, like right now? Am I going on for the Tonight Show? The company manager and 5 other people from the team come spewing into the room. Yes, darling, you're going on. I'm so sorry we didn't tell you. This isn't official. I'm so sorry. Absolutely, you're going on. You're absolutely going on. Like, are you ready? Come and get you anything? I'm so sorry. We just didn't even think about it. I mean, yes, this is it. This is it. I'm like, okay. So at
what
this
is
point,
going on in your mind?
So at this point, I'm like, you want to know what was going on in my mind? That I hadn't eaten. And I go, I'm so sorry. Is there any way that I could get some food? They're like, oh my gosh, darling, of course. Like, what would you like? I was like, and I tried to think, I'm like, can I have a bagel? I just want a bagel. I'm just so delirious. And I'm 100% putting one foot in front of the other. And they go, all right, darling, I'm going to just warn you, we don't do bagels here like they do in New York. Like, and so they literally went to a supermarket and came back with 6 bagels wrapped in plastic, they're like, just so you know, we don't like do bagels. We don't like have bagels. Anyway, then I went on and absolutely was carried by the cast and the crew. And people handed me things that I just put down somewhere. I didn't hand people things that I got like, it was like opening up into the day. Like, it was a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
It was a little like, she's not going to take it. She is going to take it. Cause it's pretty chaotic anyway. The show should really be called Props, but I got through it. And I remember I called my best friend and I called my mom. My best friend is Caroline Bowman. And she said, be where your feet are. Just be right where your feet are. And then my mom said, take as many, I know you're overwhelmed. Just try to take as many mental snapshots in your mind as you can. You are going to want to remember this. Just so you know, just try. So I did both of those things as best I could. I tried to be where my feet are, and I tried to take as many mental snapshots in my brain. And I will never forget, or not. So I just every day woke up and every day took care of my body, took care of my voice, and waited. And then I would get a text from that company manager right around 3 or 4 in the afternoon. You'll be on again tonight. Okay. You'll be on again tonight. Okay. You'll be on again today. Okay. And I was where my feet were. I just rolled with it. Then I was there long enough that I had a day off and I explored London by myself and also with Marisha Wallace, who is one of my besties for the resties. That is a huge blessing. She was a huge blessing for me. I knew her and I knew her working, in the New York community. And she was like, hi, babes. And she got me through it. She was my Becky when I got there. She carried me. She goes, you'll be great. You're going to be fine. You're just going to be great.
Oh my gosh.
So we got a chance to play on the day off, and it changed my life. The reason the experience changed my life is because for the first time, and I think there could have been probably several other times in my life where I could have said to myself, wow, Desi, like you're really strong and you can really do hard things. Maybe there's probably a lot of other times, but for some reason, this one was the one that made me say, I spoke to myself in the curtain call of that first show. And I spoke to myself the way that I speak to the people that I love. And I literally said, like, baby girl. I was like, oh, baby girl, you can do very hard things. And I'm so freaking proud of you. And I have your back. I have your back. I have your back. I just proved to you that I have your back. And I'm not going anywhere. And so and then the blessing each time. Some people were like, how did you deal with that? Where they didn't tell you until right before the show? Wouldn't you like to have settled? I'm like, no, it was just another gift every day, just 14 gifts, 16 gifts, however many, over and over again. So
that is so beautiful, Desi. And that was the exciting ride that I knew it would be coming from your mouth. That is so thrilling. And I think that is so beautiful what you said. I think so often in this business, we are waiting for other people to tell us we're good enough, you've booked the job, you can do it. And in that moment, you gave that gift to yourself and said, I've got your back. I can carry you through hard things. My whole life has shown me that I can get to this point and do what I'm here to do. Like everything from your grandmother giving you those piano lessons, has prepared you for this moment in time. And that's just so beautiful. Thanks for sharing that.
Literally, you put it perfectly. Thank you for the space to share.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing what words you said to yourself, because I feel like sometimes people don't dare to say those words aloud for fear that they will look overly confident or that they think so much of themselves, whereas that's not it at all. And like one of my favorite ways to sort of give myself a little pep talk is because I can be really hard on myself in my own brain, and I know we all can, is either would you ever talk that way to a friend? No. Or how would you talk to 7-year-old Desi or 7-year-old Chelsea or 7-year-old? Mm-hmm. It would be that. It would be, I got you. You can do the hardest things. Good for you. I've got you. You would say all of those things. And I thank you for sharing that out loud and for sort of normalizing that we all need to say those things to ourselves. We really do.
It's hugely important, and it's work that started for me really then. And I feel like I've only continued to have more support in deeply knowing myself and loving myself in this. And absolutely, I grew up that you don't love yourself. It's not humble. That's not humble. And, you love other people. And I really think that with the ebbs and flows of not only this business, but life, it's imperative. It's imperative to know yourself, figure yourself out, and love yourself. And speaking that way, really just like saying that to myself. I write to myself. I write to myself sometimes before auditions or something that I'm really nervous about or anxious about, a big concert or big recording day. I'll be like, Des, and I will write it like I'm writing to my best friend. I'm like, hello, you have forgotten how good you are. Or like, you are, you're amazing and you're worthy and you deserve this and you're going to do your best and you're a human and you'll mess up and you'll try again. And I love you. Like I write it down before. I've been really trying to do that. This is with a lot of help. This is a lot of therapy. This is a lot of mindfulness, meditation, yoga. So I can't say that I'm coming up with all this on my own, but yeah, it's made a huge difference. And I have to say it started there. That's why I say it was life-changing. It really did. It started there. Much. Yeah.
So I would love to ask you more, because I know even long before your time in the West End, you've been passionate about mental health, prioritizing mental health, being aware of those around you. And you recently did this really amazing project that you wrote called The Light Effect. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I would love to. Yes, I created and composed a brand new original musical called The Light Effect. And it's this beautiful story of our protagonist, who is the seer. She can see when people are struggling with mental health, which is something we cannot do. It's a bit of a superpower. We cannot see pain and we cannot see mental illness. Can't see it. And she can. And to her, they are illuminated folks who are what I'm sort of calling in the window between suicidal ideation or deep depression and then suicidal action. Suicide is a huge issue in our country with so many demographics. I was personally affected by suicide, which has led me to create this. And to her, our seer, these folks are illuminated. They're in light. They're in light. And she doesn't really know what to do when she sees them. And she moves to New York from a small town. So now she sees many. And statistically, I'd like to place truly the amount of people that it would be that should be in light based on the ratio of how many folks are there. It's a lot of people who have been here in this window. And so, yeah, she has a roommate who's kind of funny and sweet. And she's a mental health nut too, but she doesn't really get it. So she'll be like, I think I can see people when they're like struggling, they're in a light. And she's like, oh, that's super dope. Like I can read auras. She's like, I know horoscopes. Like she's like funny. It's a safe space, but she still doesn't understand it. And that's the roommate. And we eventually meet the knower. And the knower is the sommelier of the wine bar that they live above. And he has the gift as well. And they both see someone in the wine bar at the same time that this person is illuminated in light. And they both share this moment of like recognizing it. And she's like, oh my, you can see that? Wait, I thought I was the only one. And basically he celebrates the gift with her, but also teaches her how to use it and also warns her, like, don't lose yourself. Just so you know, your gift is not to save them. It's to see them. And, all we can do is see them and offer peace and let it go. And she starts to abuse her gift and she gives up her job and she goes searching for them and she starts to lose herself. And the roommate sings a song called You're Not Home, and like, you're not home and you're also not physically home. And they go looking for her. And when they find her, she herself is in the light. The knower can see that she is in the light. And act 2 is her using her gift to save herself and recognizing that we have a gift, we can have a power, but we can't pour from an empty cup. That's one of the lyrics. You can't pour from an empty cup. It's this story that is raising awareness, but there's a lot of levity and lightness to it. It's all right from my heart. And I'm really intending to raise awareness. I'm in partnership with American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. They're part of this. They're endorsing this. They're backing it. And they'll be with me every step of this way. they're really, sort of the top when it comes to this kind of work. They're the folks that sign off, with the Netflix shows and the Hulu shows that we watch that talk about this topic. They're really, the folks that are endorsing and making sure that that the language is right and appropriate. So it's unbelievable to have them on my side. And
it's really cool.
The next step is I'm continuing to write. It was a concert version that I put up before with an all-female orchestra, the Broadway Sinfonietta. And it was all cast. I only came up for the last song at the end, and it was beautiful. And it was really song-based. It was really about the music.
It was so beautiful. Desi, I was there I zoomed in to see that performance. And I remember sitting there waiting for it to start, just thinking, how is she going to do this? Because I think you had shared a little about the premise by that point online.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I knew a little bit about what it was going to be about. And I couldn't wrap my head around how you had made a musical out of this. I also thought, how is this not going to be so difficult to watch? And I left so uplifted and my heart so full. So I just think what you did was truly spectacular. And I'm so happy to hear that it's having an ongoing life and continuing to be developed and evolve. It was so beautiful.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you so much for saying that, because that was my goal. And it's such a taboo topic. Folks don't talk about this. And that's a huge reason why. I mean, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, their slogan is talk saves lives. So we have to speak about it. And I know it's not the most marketable. We have to talk about it. And so I really wanted it to have truth, but I really wanted it to, it's just so from my heart. And I've had this blessing of time, healing time. And so it's right really from right where I see it. And so I would not have been able to write this musical 10 years ago. Certainly not. So it's incredibly honest, but it's hopefully inspiring and hopeful. It's supposed to be that way.
Hey, this is Broadway vocal coach co-founder Chelsea Wilson, and here at BBC, we know that being a young artist or the parent of one is hard, especially looking towards the college audition process. College musical theater auditions and pre-screens feel so overwhelming, you don't even know where to start, which is why I want to ask you the question. What if you could apply to college musical theater programs without the overwhelm and be done by September 30th? Well, that's exactly what we offer inside our college prep program, BBC Aspire. Everything you need, all in one place, with expert support and guidance all along the way. If you listen to our show each week, you know that we help musical theater performers take their next step. And so for our listeners, we've put together a college musical theater audition